Like, I'm not going to lie, like it's harder, but if you think about it, if you hire the right person, they will onboard faster. So even if you feel like, I think a lot of the times as support folks, we're like, oh, we're drowning in tickets. So I just like, I got to get people in here. And I think you let that pressure just kind of, you just hire somebody like they're good enough, like
Yeah.
that'll do. But for me, the most critical thing in my team is the talent. And so I won't sacrifice that.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Support Lab. I'm very happy to have you here. My name is Max, and I'm going to be your host today. And I'm pleased to welcome Kenji, who's leading the support team at Front. Kenji, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
Just, yeah, thanks for having me, Max. I'm doing great. It's Friday at the time of this recording, so Fridays are always my favorite day of the week. It's the end.
Yeah. Um, I was like, just for the one who don't know, I was telling like Kenji, like before we started the recordings, that I had a mixed feeling on Friday where I have to finish my to-do list, and at the same time the weekend is coming and I kind of don't care. But anyway, here we are. Um, Kenji, so the idea is I'd like to start with a few questions basically about Front, so people have a better idea how the support team at Front is managed, what it looks like and everything. Maybe just before, if you can just introduce yourself in, like a few seconds, and tell us a bit more, like when did you arrive to Front, and what did you do at Front and before this?
Yeah, sure. So I've been working in support for like over 13 years. So I'm kind of aging myself. I've only worked in support. So I don't know, there's a lot of CX generalists, but I'm a support purist. I started out in tier one, worked my way up to management, building and leading teams. Next month is actually my 7-year anniversary at Front. So long as I've stayed at
Congrats.
one company. Thank you. Yeah, it's long for a tech company.
Yeah.
So I've got to see it from, one or two people to we're 30 today, which I don't think is actually that big compared to our customer size. But yeah, we do a really great brand of support that I think more people should consider, which we can talk about.
Great. Yeah, I have like a few questions regarding like the support at Front, but I'll be curious. Like, if it was my first day at Front, how would you present, like, support there, what it looks like? Um,
Yeah, I mean, it looks like probably what you're used to. So if you've done support before, we use a tiered inbox approach. So there's tier
okay.
one, tier two. There's tier three, but those are the engineers. The difference is with Front, it's very collaborative. So what I mean by that is there's no ownership of cases or tickets. And so anybody on the team, whether that's T1, T2, APAC, EMEA, or the US, can jump in and work cases. So it's a different way to work. So a lot of the onboarding is not so much teaching the support basics, but it's like the how do you interact with customers without having them repeat information, using all the tools that you have. Because with us, that's how we approach it. It's a team. We look at the queue as one big queue that all of us share versus everyone's got their, you've got 10 tickets, Max has got 10 tickets, Kenji's got 10. Our goal is to get the whole thing to zero by the end of the
Yeah.
day if we can.
Which almost never happen, or it does happen every time.
It used to happen. It used to happen. Now we're, yeah. So this is like part of the thing is also it's not going to happen, and if it does happen, it's for like 2 seconds, and then
Sorry
they
again.
all come back. So the queue is a living beast.
So just to understand correctly, so you have like tier one, tier two, the tier three that you said, like that the engineers, is that people under your wings, or is it like a totally
No,
different team?
totally different. So it's actually interesting. I would say my tier one would be tier two at any other company. They get the very technical product support. My tier
Okay.
two team, the first two tier two folks I actually recruited from the engineering team. So these are like entry level ish engineers. They've got some kind of coding background. Tier three, they're on a rotation. So this is how we keep the engineers involved with customers. Depending on the week, We know which engineer to ping on the case. It's very rare that we escalate. Like it's, like maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 might make it to tier two, and then maybe like 1 out of 100 might make it to tier three. But when it does, we get to actually talk to the engineer who could fix the bug, that's probably causing it, which is really nice.
Gotcha. So you mentioned no one is basically owning the ticket, but let's say like so the ticket arrive to the queue. Who decide to jump on in? Like how like
Yeah, so there is ownership. Like when we were really early, we did this free for all model. This is not what we do today. So I'll just explain. Like when you're a smaller team, I think you have to just do whatever you can. And so we would just trust people, like grab whatever you can, please don't skip the hard ones, work top down. Today, that doesn't work. Like the larger your team gets, it's not a trust thing. It's just, it doesn't scale well. And so now we do a balance of, you get assigned automatically, I think up to 5 cases at a time. And then if you can handle more, please go grab more. What I mean about ownership is, like, say you're working on a ticket right now and it's Friday, right? It's the end of your day. The pressure is not on you to close it out. You just put your notes in and then throw it back, and then the next person in APAC or the US will grab it. So the customer might work with multiple agents, which could be frustrating if you do it wrong, but that allows us to just get people answers quicker. It just keeps tickets moving versus like I have to wait till you come back online, during Europe times. So people can own tickets or cases, but we also really encourage people to jump in and help each other out.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. And you know, you mentioned that your frontline agents, I mean, your level one is already like, I mean, pretty technical. So I guess you have some self-service before one way or the others.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance basically self-service with human support at front?
Yeah. So the
And
self-service.
you know what?
Uh,
Like, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you, but like, what would be interesting also for me is like, because I'm sure this has evolved recently. I mean, in the past 2 years with AI and stuff. So I'd be curious to see what it looks like, like when you arrived basically like 5+ years ago and the state of today.
Yeah. 5+ years ago, we had no self-service. Like we had a help center, but we had no, deflection. That's not something we really cared about. We just cared about connecting people with humans as fast as possible. Fast forward to today, we definitely leverage, the chatbot. We use AI to suggest answers, but we actually don't do as much AI deflection as people think. Chat is the only place where we use some kind of like automated response. We don't do that for our emails or tickets. And chat only represents about 5%, 10% of our overall volume. So yeah, we do it, but we do it thoughtfully. And I think that's how most teams are approaching it. For some teams where chat's your main channel, that's probably a huge, like having a high deflection rate is huge for us since our customers, and I think it's because Front started as an email platform. um, People still like to talk to us via email. So that's kind of still the main way that we communicate. We do use AI for self-service in the help center. So that's either suggesting internal articles to the agent before they respond, or when people are writing into the chatbot, it'll feed from the knowledge base.
Sure. And there is a question I like to ask. What's the automation or the trick you're the most proud at front, basically, in support? I mean, support related, obviously. That made the life easier for the team. Anything like, in mind? And I'm not talking so much like on the customer facing way, more like something
Yeah.
in general for you guys.
Yeah. Definitely AI tagging. Tagging's always been a pain in the butt for my team. Over the course of 5 years, it's always something the team has complained about. I don't think anybody likes to tag like that. I think it'd be weird if you did. We've tried to make it easier and easier over time, like just making the tags clearer. But that was the best thing that we did because it's just an immediate ROI of you've taken this really like task that annoys people off of their plate and they don't have to think about it. So we do purely AI tagging. We still do manual tagging as well, but we're trying to automate as much as possible.
Gotcha. Yeah. We're gonna talk about work-life balance like later, but do you have a specific example in mind when the team was overwhelmed in general, and why? Like, I'm curious, and how did you fix it? Like, does that come up to
Uh,
mind?
yeah, I mean, I think this happens every a few times, like I don't know, every few months. I think the team gets overwhelmed. I think they get overwhelmed when the queue is high. I think that that's like just a mental state of even if everything is fine, like there's no SLA breaches, your casework looks good, the metrics look good. Just seeing a high Q number really, even for me, like it kind of
Yeah,
just mentally makes you feel overwhelmed. And so what the managers and I have been doing is just trying to remind the team of guys, we're doing really good. Like I know the queue is really high, but like we're not breaching anything. We're hitting all of our OKRs. So it's more of a just a reminder that the team's doing a really good job because on those days where the queue's high and you feel really like stressed out and maybe it's a Friday and you're just trying to get home because we approach it on a shared level. We also share the queue guilt when it gets super
yeah,
high. So it's just like reminding people of, hey, don't worry about it. It's the queue's always going to be high some days. Like you don't really have control over that. If it's high because of staffing issues, that's on me. Like I need to be accountable for that. But if it's just
yeah,
high because we're short staffed because people are sick, or like we released a not so great feature and we're getting flooded with requests, that's that's not on us. This is just the nature of support. It's very unpredictable sometimes.
yeah, yeah. I feel what you mean. Yeah, and maybe like to finish with France. Another question I like to ask is like, imagine you have unlimited budget, which is not the case,
Mhm.
I know, but imagine
Yeah.
what's one thing you would change about your support team today? You know?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a double-edged sword working at front. I think for this is probably is true for might be for you too, Max, but I think for companies that are in the support space, there's so many tools that I would love to use, but I can't or I shouldn't because this is what we do, right?
Yeah.
So if I
Yeah, I
had
know what you mean.
unlimited budget, I would invest more in the AI side. Like right now, I have access to a couple of tools, but I'm also really limited on access. And so if I didn't have any constraints, I wouldn't use it towards headcount. I mean, I would probably pay my people more if I had unlimited budget. I think we're all paid really well, actually. But if I can get to that
But
point where we're like
that's
open
a good
AI and I could,
reply, right?
yeah, like if you told me I had unlimited money, yeah, I would pay people like OpenAI pays their support team. Like I think that that's they deserve it. And if I had control over that, I would pay them.
I'm curious if you don't mind, like also like talking about like um, wages, because like I received like recently like a lot of so first I don't know where you guys hire, but I receive a lot of DMs on LinkedIn of um, support reps outside of Europe and the US, right? And they were kind of not complaining, but they were telling me the story of like basically, they were doing the same job as their teammates in San Francisco or Paris,
Mhm.
and paid like much less. What's like? How do you approach this at front?
Yeah, at front we have a very transparent pay policy. So we basically work in zones, and so depending on which zone you live in, so yeah, like San Francisco is the most expensive place in the world, and so it's cost of living. So we have a great finance and people team that takes all these things into account. So it's not something I think about. I just kind of validate it. But I would say to the people DMing you where they live, yes, if you could say that you're doing the same work as folks in San Francisco, but the cost of living might be much less because I could be making, what OpenAI is paying, but I probably still can't afford a house in San Francisco because it's that expensive to live here.
Yeah,
And for Paris, that's like a premium place to live in Europe, and you if you lived in a different part that was not, an active, like buzzing city like Paris and New York, it's probably going to be cheaper for you there. So I think you have to look at it as like cost of living versus the wage that you're getting, and not just compare, oh my gosh, this person's making so much more money than me. Like think about how much they're paying for the house and their kids, the food, and
So,
yeah.
but
So that's how we.
basically, in your team, you never got like issue with that, right?
No, because we make sure that what we're paying is always above the market in their area. So we do
Yeah.
a lot of research on the different geos. So I don't hire in every geography, but the ones that I do, we always do deep research on what are the people.
That's they get a fair price for what they're doing.
Oh
And
yeah, oh yeah,
I guess that's the key to, because yeah, a lot of people sometimes feel kind of frustrated by the by the by the pay, but like if you look around and it's in the average of should be fine. The thing is like you got like, and this is like a a differentiator, but now you've started to have like some company we were like, hey, I'm gonna pay the same salary for everyone doing the same job. I've seen like some companies doing this, right?
mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, I think being transparent, because the main issue with a lot of those folks at the end, they don't really know the salary of the teammates, because like
Right.
the company is not very transparent. So this I feel had a lot of like, I don't know,
Mm.
it's not a clean, I mean a clean environment. I feel like, just if like if you're being transparent and like what everyone in the support team is doing, and you have a clear career projection tracks,
Yep.
different phases.
Yeah, that's the best thing you can do. Just be transparent with your team, and we didn't always have that. We didn't always have like levels and rubrics. Like those are things we built over time, but they're huge. I mean, it's such a big help because when someone joins, they'll know clearly, okay, this is what I need to do to get promoted. This is how much money I'll potentially make in my band. And
So
it's a much.
you have this
Yeah,
clear at front, like people when they join, they know basically like if they're doing good in 2 years, 5 years, what they might expect. Yeah, I like that a lot. Um, okay, cool. Thank you for all this. So I know we had a little chat a few days ago, and I remember you told me. I'm gonna try to frame it this way, but please correct me. Like you have a hiring philosophy, which is basically hiring the best of the best and keep the team small. Is that correct?
that's right. Yeah.
Can you just tell me a bit more what's the idea behind all this? So hiring the best of the best, I think, yeah, it's kind of, I mean, obvious in a sense. You're always trying to hire the best people, but what's really interests me is like like the small team parts.
Yeah. So when I started out, I was really proud that I had a 200-person support team. Like that was something I would brag about, when I was interviewing and like to other support people, like, oh, my team's bigger than yours. I think when you're younger, for some reason, like that's important. Over time, I've learned that it's really about the impact the team makes. And so I'm actually proud when I say my team is smaller than other support teams, like at doing a similar scale. Um, and it's an essentialism approach, so less but better. I try to do this in all parts of my life. So I'm not a minimalist, but I like to buy things less but that'll last longer. And when I think about my team, we have a very high bar, and so that, like, how do you actually have the best of the best? You have to have a really tough interview process. So I would say our interview process is one of the toughest at fronts, probably even the same as an engineer.
What does it
An
what does it look like, to have an idea?
Yeah. Yeah. So before you talk to us, we will send an assignment out. The assignment is something anybody can do, but it's based off of our help center. And we're really trying to get an idea of your writing style. Like we can tell if you use ChatGPT, we can tell if you actually wrote it. And that's because we're a written team. We don't do any phone support. We do sometimes video calls, when the customer needs it, but most of the time it's just chats and emails and tickets. So the writing style is really important, and that's something right off the bat. The actual interview process itself, the first person you talk to is the hiring manager. So if that was me, we would talk first. I think it's great for the candidate, but also right away I can start screening out people pretty early because I know what I'm looking for. If they make it through that phase, they'll make it to the on-site, which is you're talking to about 4 people, 3 from the team, from maybe 1 from tier 2, tier 1, maybe somebody from ops, and then somebody who's not on our team to get an idea of how you might collaborate with other folks in the company. Then if you pass that, then you talk to the hiring manager again, and that's really the final stage. But the thing I tell my team is it's hell yes or no, meaning we score on a 1 to 4 when we grade candidates. I got to see all 4s. And if I see a lot of 3s, that means good, but that's not good enough for me. They've got to be great, and they've got to surpass the last person that we hired. And so it takes longer. Like, I'm not going to lie, like, it's harder, but if you think about it, if you hire the right person, they will onboard faster. So even if you feel like, I think a lot of the times as support folks, we're like, oh, we're drowning in tickets. So I got to get people in here. And I think you let that pressure just you just hire somebody, like, they're good enough.
Yeah.
Like that'll do. But for me, the most critical thing in my team is the talent. And so I won't sacrifice that.
Yeah. And I feel like, this is my personal take, but with what's going on in support, you just can't afford to have average people anymore, in a sense that it's not just, because like the human support is going to be more and more focused for, IFR tickets, complex tickets, and a lot of the support job is going to be more on the operation side, the processes and all this. I feel like you really need talentful people. That being said, this is also, I would say, an opportunity. There is a real opportunity here because support career starts to be very interesting. Like before, like a lot of people reach, I'm in support, I might want to jump in, I don't know, a product or whatever. And this is because like a lot of the day-to-day job was sometimes a bit boring. And I feel now if you're a real problem solver and you're really made for support, you can build a real career here. And not mentioning like you can also like get a great salary from working in support, which wasn't always true like years ago.
Yeah, that's a good point because I am hiring for the potential. So everyone, like, I have a support operations team and I have support managers. That's all been built from people who started out, in support. So I'm not just looking at, this is a question that I actually asked during the interview is, I talk about the career, like, where do you see yourself? Like, what are your interests? And kind of gauging, like, could this person be a support ops person? And could they be at another part of the company if they graduate from support? And so I'm really trying to look at them and see they're not just here to do just like traditional customer support, but can they actually grow? Do they want to grow and stay here? Because most people actually stay here for a pretty long time when they do join.
Yeah, 7 years for you. I can see that.
7 years. I'm not even the oldest here.
But there's a thing, 7 years in San Francisco, in the Valley, because I feel like the turnover over there is like way higher than anywhere else.
People think I'm crazy because it's, all my peers, they hop every 2 years, which is normal. It's really weird to work at a company for over 4 years. And so, yeah, maybe I'll make it a decade and just freak people out.
But you mentioned like support operations. Do you have like a small team of support hubs, or like everyone is like how?
Yeah, I've got my support operations teams is just 3 people today. So I've got 3 folks. Hubs, I have. Are you asking about like regionally where we are, or just the
No, yes, the ops team. Just like if it was 1 people, 3 people, but answer, like.
Yeah, it's 3, and I actually think that's the right ratio. I think 10 to 1. So for every 10 reps, you should think about having 1 support ops person to just help with the workflow. So I'll break it down. If you're thinking about building an ops team, the first person I hired was a support operations documentation specialist. So somebody to manage the help center, to create the internal documentations, which is perfect because it now feeds into all the AI and all the self-serve stuff. The next person I hired was a support operations analyst. So this is the person running all the reports, like sending all the data to the product team. Is just basically like my right hand person anytime I have questions. And then the most recent hire is a support operations developer. So I took somebody from my tier two team who's like actually an engineer, and they're building all the cool stuff that I want. So they're building the AI automation, they're building the workflows. So they take all the ideas that, the analysts and I come up with, and they actually make it a reality. So we're a small but mighty team, but
It's
very
perfect.
high impact. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of teams are waiting a bit too long to add like operation people.
Yeah.
I was like recently I was talking to a few teams like 20, 25%, and they still didn't really have like an ops person, or someone wasn't responsible for it. They were like grabbing like few half day here and there, or when something was
Mhm.
broken. But I think if you can really have um, one person or like 2, 3 person um, working on this, that's great, definitely. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, did you had to do any trade-off to make to keep your team small, like the fact that smaller, like is there
Mm.
any?
Um, yeah, I think the trade-off is, yes, the team is smaller in size. The trade-off is also going remote. I think that's a one cost savings you can do if you want to keep a higher salary team but smaller. But no, I don't. I feel like we haven't really had to make a lot of trade-offs, because if you think about it from the business side, like that's something like support folks are not the best at, but it's great for business. Like it's great for the CFO, the CEO, to show that you're being efficient. And so yeah, like my whole thing is not, don't pay people less, just hire less people, pay them more, have a better team. And it's also really healthy for the company, because the last thing you want to do is you overstaff and then you have to do a layoff down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. um to finish about hiring, like what would you say the one quality every support hire at front must have, and what is the red flag that will immediately
Oh,
disqualify someone?
yeah. The everyone. So low ego. They have to have a low ego,
Yeah, I like
because
that.
of the way that we work together. Of whether you're in T1 or T2 or like, and then like you've got to collaborate and work. So we're very heavy on collaboration. So you can't think like you're just you're too good to do something. I think the red flag that I've found is people who don't ask questions. Not just in the interview, but like in general, they don't ask questions. Like there have been folks who haven't worked out at front. Not everyone. It's not always been a perfect. We hire the perfect person every time. The ones who didn't work out and the ones that I typically flag in the interviews, they're the ones who, maybe it's a high ego thing. They don't ask questions, and they will never get better because they're afraid to ask questions, or they think they know everything. But I've worked the queue. I mean, this is, I didn't just
Yeah.
come out of the womb and it was like a director of support. I actually had to work my way up to leading support teams, and I was a top performing agent, for a while at the company that I worked at first. And that's because I asked questions. I was like, I don't know this. Like, I got to find out who has the answer. So those are the people who do best. Like, if they just started and they're just not afraid to ask the team in Slack and just say, hey, I don't know this, raise their hand, they're going to be really good, because they're going to find a way to get the answer.
So if some of you guys are planning to to join
Yeah.
Ford, and you and you meet Kenji, just ask him a bunch of questions, please.
Just ask me so many questions, and I'll be like, oh, this guy's amazing. This person's amazing. I got to hire this.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you if if you had made any exception to your hiring rules and you regret it, but I guess.
Actually, I have. So but we've rebounded. So I am not perfect. My team is not perfect. We have these,
I forgive
really
you.
strict. Thank you, thank you. We have these really strict policies, and the one time that we broke this was, one of my rules is never say yes to a two. So if from the six people that we've interviewed, two means no. It's like a soft no. But if there's any doubt, we just pass, even if everybody else loved the person. but I think it was the desperation of like we needed somebody, like everyone else felt really strongly, and we kind of just pushed them through. It ultimately didn't work out. So that was a time where I regretted I should have just stuck to my guns and said no. Like I think I don't know if I was the hiring manager, but even for me, like in my position, I should have stepped in and said, no, we shouldn't do this. Like I know everyone else loves this person, but we know it works and we just have to trust the process.
Yeah, yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. Cool. Thanks for all those insights. Another topic I wanted to um, talk about with you, and this one is really dear to me, is public metrics. Um, I know you and I have been like a fervent, I can't find my word, but just fervent about like, publishing like support metrics out there. Um, there is basically, I feel, no reason to keep them, hidden from the customer. So can you tell me a bit more? How did it started? Like, just tell me the story.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard it the first time as well, but the first time I heard about public metrics was when Rippling
Yeah,
posted on Twitter, and their
I think
CEO was doing like,
they've been the first ones,
yeah. So
because
I
the
mean, I
CEO is just like support focused, like
yeah, I
crazy.
got to
So
talk to him. I got to interview him because we're like, I was so interested in that. The thing is, I read the tweet and then I started a discussion with our CEO at the time, Mathilde, and we thought it was a great idea, but we kind of just, I don't know why it kind of just fizzled out and we didn't really do it. But the more I thought about it, I was like, why don't we do this? And the crazy thing was like nobody else was doing it. Even after, Parker Conrad, like the CEO of Rippling, posted it, it just kind of fell flat. But I decided like, I think this is a great thing to do because something that I always run into is support teams aren't valued enough. They don't get enough exposure, from the rest of the company. And so I'm like, this is a perfect way to highlight the work that we do. Like, yeah, maybe if your metrics suck, you're probably less inclined to publish them. But I think that even if that's the case, that's a forcing function to do better, you know?
yeah, and you know what? If you take like the customer side, I feel if you look at like at the public side, um, and you want to read about support, like every support team is gonna tell they're the best, they're great,
Right.
blah blah blah. So I feel it's always the same bullshit.
Yes.
And I feel just like like showing, even if they are bad, just like okay, it builds trust.
Right. Right.
So I
Yeah.
think
And
it's
like,
yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, and I'm just saying like the way that this has actually helped us get more sales at front is it's a sales tactic too. So you can go and say like, okay, what are Intercom's metrics? What are Zendesk's metrics? And then the salesperson can just send them a link to our site and show like this is what you're going to get. And I think that I love transparency in all parts, and I trust companies that are transparent with me. And I think that you're right. Like for customers, they should know what they're getting into because what's going to happen is if you tell them you have great support and then you don't, they're just going to be disappointed. So why even lie to them, in the first place?
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I mean, I feel like tech products are becoming more and more commoditized. So eventually,
Mm,
like, like what's gonna separate them from the others is gonna be like the brand, like they've been able to build. But ultimately, support is the only team that talks every day to customer, right? So if
yeah.
you're picking like, I don't know, like you know, a calendar scheduling tool, now you have hundreds of them. Um, I'll be glad to know that, this specific product has, like those metrics. It build trust, and I know like I can trust like uh, the support to work great. Just by the fact that publishing the metrics, it's a good sign that they have a great support.
Yeah. Why do you think people don't do it? Because like we've both posted about it. I've literally talked about it at
So I think
conferences.
you guys built it now at front, right? So
Correct.
your
Right.
customer are using it because it's pre-built.
Right.
I think like the biggest, I mean, yeah, I think the bigger thing is just being able to build it. They can't do it by themselves. I mean, that's the thing, is like they want to have a proper nice thing, so they need like help. So obviously they don't find the developers and the UX UI team for just doing a great job. But I think they should even like grab, we talked about it like a few days ago, like this team who had like a Notion page and just throw their, uh, metrics here, and you can just manually change them like every month. This is a metric of the month, and even having the backlog of like all the formers. Anyway, just like a start. But I think it's like they don't have like the resource to do it, and they are afraid. They are afraid to do something crappy. This is my
Yeah.
guess, but I'm yeah. Um, I feel like this is maybe the easiest, like if I can give a tip to every support leaders listening to us today, this is the easiest thing that's gonna help you have a seat at the table at your company, right? Because it looks good on the customer side. As you say, it's encourage your team to just be better and better. And also it kind of usually, like, probably not at front, but in a lot of team, a lot of company, like support is not as much visible as the other teams
Yeah.
internally, right? So this is a way basically to just show the job you're doing and remind people you're here, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Everyone should do it. So if you're watching this, no excuse. You should definitely think about it.
And maybe, yeah, I had a question. If you ever regretted being so transparent, but I think I have your answer already. So yeah.
I do not. No, the only regret I have is not doing it sooner.
And a last question about metrics. Which support metrics do you think is the most overhyped? Is there
Oh,
something that's
yeah, that's a good oh, man. That's a spicy question. I'm not going to say CSAT because I know that one's like a lot of people have very strong feelings. I don't think CSAT's as bad as people think. I think if you're only using CSAT, yes, like if you're only using any metric for your whole performance, it's not good. I will say BSAT. I don't know if do you know what BSAT is? Like the bot
no?
sat. So
Okay, so
BotSat
about
is
that.
I think it's so what I've been saying is BotSat is bullshit. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me because like the way that we talk about CSAT and it's a vanity metric, right? Like it's just not built. It's a metric built for measuring humans that we've just thrown onto chatbots, which already have this kind of inherently built in. Humans are not going to like it. So I think that that's a metric that I don't believe in. I don't use BSAT.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. And I'm gonna. I just realized, hopefully it's gonna be fine, that my mic, that recording is like very far from me. So
I hear you fine though.
yeah, you hear me fine? Okay, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna move it. So this way it's gonna be like the same level for the for the entire episode. Anyway, one of the last topic I wanted to talk about with you is, if I understand correctly, you are the only one in the office within your support team. What's the story? I know there's something with COVID.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So, before COVID, we were all in the office, like a lot of people. Um, so the sport team wasn't remote before. We were all in either the Paris office or the San Francisco office. And then when COVID happened, we went remote. The team did amazing, like better than even when we worked in the office. But then, like a lot of companies, we had this, call back to the office of, hey, we're going to give you time, but we're going to need you all to come back to the office a couple days a week. And by then, a lot of my team had already relocated, and gotten used to working this way and love working remotely. And so initially I did not like the idea about it. Like, if I'm completely honest, like, did I want to come to the office myself? No, I loved working at home. I just had kids. During COVID, I had two kids, and I loved what I had. I loved the setup. But the more I thought about it, I knew that it's something I had to do for my team so that they could stay remote. So initially, it was something I had to do, but I've
Okay.
actually learned to love it because you and I have talked about this. My work life balance means me not bringing work home, and to do that, I need to go to the office sometimes. I need to. This is not my home. This is a co-working space that I work at on the other days. Um, so that's how it all transpired. I negotiated with leadership that if I come to the office and I represent support, my support team stays remote, and that's a deal that we've made 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and it's still going.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
I guess not every like C-level will accept that, obviously. Uh, but if it
I would
works, you
challenge,
know.
yeah, I would challenge them though. I would yeah, they didn't accept it at first, but what I would tell another support leader is challenge them on like why? Like, why do you need, if my team is performing better, why do you need them here? I'm here. So I can be this is why I'm here. I'm the voice of support. I am attending all the executive meetings. If you've got a question, you ask me. If you need me to attend a meeting, I will be there. And so when I'm actually in the office, like, I'm never at my desk. I'm in a meeting, I'm just talking to people in person. I'm really utilizing my time so that they notice that I'm there, because I want them to know the support team is involved with the company. And the cool thing is, for my support team, like, they're remote, but I'm like their go-to if they need me to unblock something. Like yesterday, somebody was like, "Hey, like, what's going on with this like billing policy?" And so I just walk over to the billing team and I figure it out, and then I just send it to them on Slack. So it's been really helpful. Like, I think it's good to have. I welcome the team to come visit me. They don't visit me enough, but if they want to, they can. But I respect their working style. Like, I think everyone needs to work their way.
And so because there is obviously a challenge of leading a remote first support team. So what's the main challenge for you? I mean,
I think the main challenge is just staying connected, and making sure that we are like if you met my team, you probably wouldn't guess that we're remote. Like, we are so tight and connected. Maybe it's because a lot of us have worked together for 7, some
yeah.
of us 8 years. But also, even for the newer hires, I think that we do a really good job of keeping folks connected. One thing that we do, so what I would say the tip is, if you're a remote team, the challenge is you have to actually be intentional about building connections. Like, you can't just go sign on Zoom, go to whatever help desk you're using and crunch out tickets. You have to build the time to make the connections with the rest of the team.
So how do you do that? Do you have like in the calendars every week, a moment? Like what's
Yes, I'll tell you the secret. So daily we have Q Crush, and Q Crush is 1 hour a day, depending on your time zone, that you optionally hop into Zoom and work together on the queue. So everyone's got
okay?
you can ask questions live. Um, Bi-weekly, I host a support stand-up, which is me giving the bigger updates to the team. Once a month, we do Mandatory Fun, and Mandatory Fun is hosted by one of my other managers, and it's literally, you have to have fun. We plan games, we play video games with each other. We will do like some kind of like make virtual puzzles. We have this whole guide of that we shared out of everything that we've done together, so that other teams can do it too. And then once a quarter, we do a cooking class together, a virtual cooking class. And then we had our offsite, which we do once a year. And that's a way that we can make sure that we're connecting. And then for managers, we've tried to visit the offices once a quarter. So I was just in Europe. I missed you, but I was in Europe, in Paris and in Ireland. And that way, even though we're remote, we are connecting at least once a day, and then making time to actually hang out and not do work stuff at the same time.
Sounds great. Good advice here. um, and you mentioned like you have 2 kids. Like I have 2 kids too.
Yeah.
A lot of people working in support have young kids too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk a bit about like work-life balance. I know that, like for example, you start very early to work. So if you have like, I'm just curious, like if you can share transparently, like how do you deal with like all this?
Yeah, it's, oh my God, it's tough. Isn't it crazy? Like, everyone I know, so all of my support managers also have two kids around the same age. So we have this shared experience. My biggest tip is to wake up early. Like, even if you're not a morning person, like I'm not naturally a morning person, but I get to work by 5 in the morning. Um, that's because I have kids, because I need to, if I had to work at home, I would need to get work done before they wake up, because you know how it is. Like, that's my time to focus. Deep work, transparently. I also need to sneak out of the house to get to the office. So before they wake up, I
Yeah.
need to get out before they wake up, because it becomes this whole like, oh, daddy, don't leave, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid that. And so that's my biggest tip
So the biggest
is
tip: avoid your kids.
avoid your kids at all costs. It's terrible advice, but really though, like, make time for yourself, because if you like, the worst thing that I did was during COVID, when I had to work at home, was I was doing both things like okay. Like, I was being an okay dad, because I was like thinking about work, doing work and I was never fully present with them. And then at work, I was like distracted by, like with my family stuff. So by separating the two, that was the biggest game changer, because I give 100% of myself to my work balance, and I give 100% of myself to my family. And what I mean by that is, I should have three laptops. So I have the one I'm talking to you now, which I keep at this workspace. I have one in my office, which is for work in the San Francisco office. And then I have a personal one at home, which is, there's no work. So my policy is no work when I get home. And I
Okay,
have
so
to force myself to do that.
you basically, when you work from home, you never really work from your home. You work from okay,
A
gotcha.
space. Like,
The
this is like a
space.
co-working space, but there are just times when that's unavoidable. Like, the
No,
kids are sick
obviously.
and I have to, but when I do that, you kind of make do. Like, I don't schedule calls in those days. I just tell my team, like, hey, like, I'm at home. It's rough. So I could talk to you via chat, but I'm not going to do like a Zoom meeting today.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I think it builds trust with the team. Like, again, being transparent, like, and lets them get to know you, of like, this is my home life. I also have the same struggles that you guys go through. And it just helps us be a better team.
Yeah. Um, I had maybe a last question for you. What's the
Yeah.
best thing you can do um, to keep your team from burning out?
Good question. You have to really think about their growth. And what I mean by that is, support can be such a grind, like, doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you're doing in support. If you're working with customer, the issues are always different, but it can be a very repetitive job. And for some people, that's great. Like, they like they know what they're doing every day. But I think because I hire such high caliber people, I need to keep them from burning out. I have to keep them interested. And so that means finding projects for them to work on, like reminding them about the queue guilt, like, hey, like, don't worry about the queue. The queue is the queue. Just handle what you can, what's in your control. But that's my biggest tip, is to make sure you're nurturing your team. Having the clear paths is really helpful, like knowing that they have a way to grow. Because otherwise, if you don't, the queue is just that's their whole work life. And I've
Yeah.
done that, and that's not the best. There needs to be more than just the queue. I love queue crushers. Like, we cannot do our job without them. But for other folks, you just have to, think about what will keep them here, what will keep them interested. Because if you have a goal, it's less likely that you're burnt out. You will burn out if you go, this is what I'm going to be doing every single day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You're probably more likely to burn out. Also, give your team time off when you can.
Well, when you mentioned like giving them project, like, do you have just an example of like what you call a project?
Yeah.
I,
So yeah, sure.
so,
A project that go ahead. Go ahead.
no. Go.
Yeah.
Please.
So projects that we have are, we've got this basically, it's just a spreadsheet. So a Google Doc, and it's a project tracker. It's called the support roadmap, and anybody can suggest a project. So it's not just me saying, here are the things I need to be done. I want people to put things on here, like, we need to update our rules, or we need to, do X, Y, and Z. There's just all these things that we never get to doing, and they just end up being projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've been talking for, yeah, here we are, the 45 minutes. I don't know if
Already. Wow.
you want to add anything that crossed your mind.
Yeah, I mean, last thing, just to really think about making your metrics transparent. And the Max and I have no skin in this game. We don't gain anything from other teams doing this. I just think it's something like every sport team should do. So if you take away one thing from this talk, really think about making your metrics public. You can DM me, like if you want to find me on LinkedIn or wherever, if you're in support driven or elevate. I want to help more teams do this because I've seen how great it's been for us. So I just think about that. Think about it.
I like that. Thank you so much, Kenji. If you guys want to reach out to Kenji, you can find him on LinkedIn, DM him. I'm sure he's going to answer. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for listening us or watching us. And yeah, see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye.